Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, text 10. Tesham satata yuktanam
Tesham satata yuktanam
bhajatam priti purvakam
bhajatam priti purvakam
dadami buddhi yogam tam
dadami buddhi yogam tam
yena mam upayanti te.
yena mam upayanti te. Translation. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord, instructing Arjuna, said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Bu- Buddhi means intelligence, and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is a process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned and the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in in Karma Yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, when he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in Jnana Yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of the devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to Him.
Krishna here is speaking um the highest, rather the most best process by which we can go to him, constantly devoted to serving me with love. So engaging in devotional service. When the devotee is engaged in devotional service, Krishna gives the intelligence. Krishna is the Paramatma in the heart. When he sees a student is sincere, and Krishna makes arrangements, he gives him the intelligence of how to act. So here Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, Buddhi, intelligence, yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. So we understand that Bhagavad Gita tells us we are not the body, we are the soul. And Krishna has been telling us that come back to the spiritual world. There is another world, the spiritual world, which is eternal. Because we are spirit souls, we need to go back to the spiritual world. So when one actually takes up the process to go back home, back to Godhead, that is called Buddhi Yoga. The process is devotional service, bhakti. And the action is this is because then the devotee is acting out of intelligence intelligence. And in this way, he can get out of this cycle of birth and death. So acting for the pleasure of Krishna. What happens is we are acting for our pleasure. Oh, I will get this, I will get that, this will happen, that will happen. But the pure devotee, he's acting only for how can I please Krishna? What can I do to please Krishna? Let me do this, this will please Krishna. Then how to come to this consciousness? By association of devotees and by meeting a bona fide spiritual master, taking initiation from a bona fide spiritual master. That is important. Bona fide means he's authorized by Krishna. He's coming in one of the paramparas. So we understand the goal of human life. Lord Chaitanya says, goal of human life is prema pamartho mahan, to revive our love for Krishna. Each and every one of us has a loving relationship with Krishna. We have this human body, but we are assigning so many different goals. But the real goal of human life is to revive this loving relationship that we have with Krishna. So karma yoga is like we understand Krishna as the goal, but we are attached to doing a particular activity. And then one dedicates those activities for Krishna. And then Gyan Yoga is always into theories, philosophy, not hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, but just with the mind trying to understand who's God, what is the truth. Then that is Gyan Yoga. And bhakti is when one understands the goal is Krishna and one wants to please Krishna. The entire consciousness is how can I please Krishna? What can I do to please Krishna? That is Buddhi Yoga. And this is the highest stage in life. Krishna is saying, come to this platform. Whatever platform we may be right now is irrelevant. But Krishna is saying, rise up to this platform. Then we may say, oh, but why is Krishna saying, do it for my pleasure? Because in this way, we don't have any karma. There's no reaction. When we are working for our own pleasure or for some fruitive results, we get reaction. And that reaction keeps us longer in the material world. But this is not our permanent home. We need to go back home. So when we are acting for the pleasure of Krishna, we can get free from this entanglement of action and reaction. We can go back home, back to Godhead. So one may be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. One may be a part of a spiritual organization, but one may not be very intelligent of how to act. Then Krishna helps. Krishna is the Paramatma from the heart. From the heart, he gives us this direction. He tells how to act so that one can go back to him. Krishna is waiting for us to eagerly come back home, back to Godhead. The qualification is that the person is working for Krishna. He always wants to please Krishna. He's doing some work with love and devotion for Krishna. This is what Krishna is saying to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, he's saying. So when one is working to please Krishna, oh, I'm doing this, by this Krishna will be very happy. We should have come to this platform, Bhagavad Gita is saying. Krishna is saying, come to this platform. And then Krishna gives the intelligence, how we can get out of the material world, ultimately attain him. When he said attain him means we associate with him. You go to the spiritual world, you associate with Krishna. So, working for Krishna, hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's names, doing some sort of work, worshipping the deity. Some people like to sew clothes, they stitch clothes for the deity. Some like to cook, they cook for the deity. Some like to paint, they paint for Krishna. Some sort of work for Krishna. Some like to make money, they make money for Krishna. Some like to do something with the technology, so then using technology in the service of Krishna to spread Krishna's holy name and glory. Some like to sing, so they do kirtan, working for Krishna. And reading on. Tesham evanukampartham
Tesham evanukampartham.
ham ajnanajam tamam
Aham ajnanajam
nashyami atmabhavasto
nashyami atma bhavasto
jnanadipena bhasvata.
jnana deepena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of a spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is held by Krishna himself within his heart. So, the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they may be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme Lord, as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the Supreme Truth, the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, simply by speculating. For the Supreme Truth is so great that it is not possible to understand Him or to achieve Him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not a lover of the Supreme Truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotional service is the supreme truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association through many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal Vishnu can attain to only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious, but because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors.
So Krishna is in our heart. He's the Paramatma. And Krishna is saying he removes the ignorance from our heart, from the heart of the pure devotee. So Prabhupada is giving this, he's narrating the pastime. Lord Chaitanya, when he was in Banaras, he was being criticized by Prakashananda Saraswati. Prakashananda Saraswati told him that, you're not studying the Vedanta Sutra. The only whole day you're just dancing and you're singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So you're not studying the Shastras, you need to. But you see, because some people may think, oh, what the devotees are just singing and chanting on the streets, they don't have any knowledge. But we have to understand that what's the essence of all the Vedas? The goal of the Vedas is to know Krishna. Vedasya sarver aham eva vedya. It's not that the goal of Vedas is not to just only study the Vedas, but to understand what the Vedas are saying. And the Vedas are telling us that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and that we are part and parcel of Krishna. And that in this age of Kali, the only way we can revive our loving relationship with Krishna is by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. This is what the scriptures are telling us. So the pure devotee, because he is sincere, he is helped by Krishna. We can see Krishna's mercy is there. Krishna sees the sincerity of a devotee, and Krishna removes the ignorance from the heart. So it's not that the devotees who are singing and chanting and doing in all sorts of service for pleasing Krishna doesn't mean that they don't have the knowledge of the Vedas. They, in fact, have complete knowledge of the Vedas. Krishna says, Vedesya sarver aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. So they are engaged in service of Krishna. So, and trying to understand Krishna by our mind is not possible. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. Our mind is material. Our mind is limited. How can we grasp the unlimited in our limited mind? It's not possible. We can go on speculating. We can keep on imagining something or the other, but that's not going to help us to really understand Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. I can be understood only by devotional service. So when one is engaged in devotional service, Krishna is pleased with him, and Krishna agrees to reveal himself to the devotee. It's out of Krishna's mercy. No, otherwise, the living entity is very limited, minute. But Krishna, out of his mercy, agrees to reveal himself. So, one who is engaged in devotional service, Krishna sees the sincerity, and the pure devotee, he always has Krishna in the heart. He's always thinking of Krishna. How can I please Krishna? What can I do to please Krishna? I will do this to please Krishna. Let me do that to please Krishna. So he's always thinking of Krishna. So Krishna is in the heart. And wherever there is Krishna, there can never be any ignorance or darkness. Krishna is compared to the sun. He's likened to the sun. Whenever the sun is there, there cannot be darkness. As soon as the sun comes out, there's no more darkness. It's day. It's only when the sun is not there, then there is darkness. So as soon as there is Krishna, there is no more ignorance. There's complete knowledge. The more we hear about Krishna, the more we chant Krishna's names, the more we will get the knowledge. Bhagavatam says that one who is engaged in devotional service, to him, he gets this causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. And Krishna is in the heart, he gives one the causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So here we have been in this material world for a very, very long time. We have completely forgotten our original identity as spirit souls, parts and parcels of Krishna. So we have this material contamination. But when one begins devotional service, when one engages in devotional service, beginning with hearing, chanting, then this dust is cleaned from the heart. The contamination clears from the heart. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Lord Chaitanya says. That's the first thing happens when one chants the holy name. All the dirt which is there in our heart, that gets cleaned. When the window is dirty, we cannot see clearly outside. But when it is clean, we can see clearly. Or when the mirror is dirty, we cannot even see our own reflection. When the mirror is clean, we can see our reflection clearly. So right now our consciousness is covered by all the lust, the envy, the greed, all the material contamination is there. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, this dust can quickly be cleared, and we will be able to see clearly. We will get the real knowledge, pure knowledge. The Prabhupada is helping us understand that Lord Vishnu, Krishna can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The Shastras are saying Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. Kalo nasteva gatiranyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only way of perfection is to chant the holy name of Hari. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So if we at all want liberation, we want perfection, we want to understand the absolute truth, we have to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, hearing and chanting. And Krishna gives his mercy to the sincere devotee. Krishna provides everything that is needed. And Prabhupada is saying that by studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. Pure devotional service, acting for the pleasure of Krishna favorably, as it is taught by the previous acharyas. So Krishna removes the darkness from the heart of the sincere devotee. Krishna gives the knowledge to the sincere devotee. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's continue to read then. Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shasvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum
Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Ahushvam Rashaya Sarve
देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा
देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा
हसितो देवलो व्यास
अशीतो देवलो व्यास
स्वयं चैवाब्रवीषि मे।
स्वयं चैवाब्रवीषि मे। Translation. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Ashita, Devala, and Vyasa, confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." In these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the Mayavadi philosopher, for here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, after hearing the essential four verses of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, "You are the Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And previously, Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now, by his grace, Arjuna is accepting him as the supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's ultimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these two verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. It In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is the rest for everything. And Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirmed that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of him. This constant thinking of Krishna is smaranam, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of this material body. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna, the Supreme Pure, complies with the injunctions of Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narada is the chief. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is the supreme existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth, and death. Not only does Arjuna confirm this, but all the Vedic literature, the Puranas, and histories. In all Vedic literature, Krishna is thus described, and the Supreme Lord himself also says in the fourth chapter, "Although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principle." He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Here, Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements in these two verses. This is called the parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literatures, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person.
So Krishna's, after hearing from Krishna, Arjuna is declaring now on the bull in the battlefield that you are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. Arjuna is telling Krishna, you are God. Yeah, you are the original person. You are not material. You're transcendental. You're eternal. And you're the greatest. There's no one greater than you. No one is equal than you. And he's saying, now, he's saying that not only I'm saying this, you are also saying it, and all the great authorities, Narad, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, they also confirming this truth about you. This is the way that we hear transcendental knowledge. We hear from the authority. Even material knowledge, we are hearing from authority. We want to learn something. We want to learn something about graphic designing. We go to the institute where graphic designing is being taught, and we learn that art, that skill. Similarly, we want to understand the absolute truth. We go to the authorities who know the absolute truth. So for any field of knowledge, we have to go to the expert. So Krishna and us, there is a difference. Our position and Krishna's position. We are the minute living entity, and Krishna is God. We have an eternal loving relationship with Krishna. We can never become Krishna. Some may say, "Oh, I'm not Krishna now, but after liberation, I will become Krishna." No, we have an eternal loving relationship with Krishna. We are the soul. The soul can never be changed. It can never be killed. Always exists. And our eternal existence is in relation with Krishna. Each of us have a very loving relationship with Krishna. So here Arjuna, he's telling Krishna that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Katha Upanishad, it is said that there is one eternal and he is maintaining all the other eternals. So Krishna, he is maintaining each and every one of us. So how do we get this knowledge? By devotional service. Bhagavatam says one who engages in devotional service, to him he gets causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So the more we hear, the more we chant, the more we engage in devotional service, the more we can realize this knowledge. Now, sometimes we have friends, we want to please them, so we say nice words, we want to flatter them. But here, Arjuna is not calling Krishna God by way of flattery. He's understanding Krishna's position as God. It's not that Arjuna is saying, "Oh, you're my friend Krishna and you're helping me do the chariot. You are being my charioteer, so let me just flatter you." No. No, he's understanding. Oh, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the origin. Krishna is the greatest. There is no one greater than or equal to Krishna. Everything is resting on Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. Everything is Krishna's energy. Everyone is Krishna's energy. And the one way we can understand Krishna is by devotional service. Bhaktyamam abhijanati, Krishna says, by engaging in devotional service. And devotional service begins by hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So even the Mundaka Upanishad is saying everything is resting on the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Brahman, Kena Upanishad is saying. Krishna is the creator. of this material world. Uh, Krishna's energy is sustaining the spiritual world. We, the living entities, are Krishna's part and parcel. So there is a difference between Krishna's position and our position. Krishna is God. We are the tiny souls, and we have a loving relationship with Krishna. And all the great authorities are also declaring it. Here, Arjuna is saying, Narada, Sita, Devala, Vyasa, all the Vedas. Krishna says, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. All the Vedas are glorifying Krishna, explaining to us Krishna's position as God. So Krishna, he is the supreme origin. He has no cause. He is the cause of all causes. Sarva karana karanam. Brahmaji says in his Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So Arjuna has completely understood the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and he's accepting Krishna's position as God. So we, also following in the footsteps of Arjuna, should understand Krishna's position as God. This is what Bhagavad Gita is telling us. Krishna is saying, surrender unto me. He says, Sarva dharmam parityagya mam ekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshami ma sucha. Surrender unto me. So study of Bhagavad Gita is not only for scholarship, but it is for actually to become a devotee of Krishna. It's not that we study Bhagavad Gita to have a title, oh yes, I have studied the Bhagavad Gita. No, but to become a devotee of Krishna, because that's what Krishna is saying, surrender unto me. Krishna is saying, engage your mind in always thinking of me. Man manabhava mad bhakto, he says, always think of me. So we have to follow this instruction. And then we will say, yes, we have studied the Bhagavad Gita. And then we can say, oh, yes, I've studied, I've understood the Bhagavad Gita. So we need to hear the Bhagavad Gita in the disciplic succession to be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Is that okay?
Yes.
Sarvam etad ritam manye
Sarvam etat ritam manye
yanmam vadasi keshava
yanmam vadashi keshava
nahi te bhagavan vyaktim
nahi te bhagavan vyaktim
vidur devanadhanava.
vidur devana danava. Translation. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigod nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Arjuna herein confirms that persons of faithless and demonic nature cannot understand Krishna. He is not known even by the demigods, so what to speak of the so called scholars of this modern world? By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjuna has understood that the supreme truth is Krishna and that he is the perfect one. One should therefore follow the path of Arjuna. He received the authority of Bhagavad Gita. As described in the fourth chapter, the Parampara system of disciplic succession for the understanding of Bhagavad Gita was lost, and therefore Krishna re-established Krishna the disciplic succession with Arjuna because he considered Arjuna his intimate friend and a great devotee. Therefore, as stated in our introduction to Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita should be understood in the Parampara system. When the Parampara system was lost, Arjuna was selected to rejuvenate it. The acceptance by Arjuna of all that Krishna says should be evaluated. Then we can understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and then only we can understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead.
Krishna, Arjuna is saying, I accept as truth what you have told me. Because Krishna is saying, I'm God. He's saying, I'm the source of the material and spiritual worlds, and the living entities are my parts and parcels. Krishna has been saying all this knowledge. I'm the ability in man, I'm the strength of the strong. So, and Arjuna is saying, yes, I accept as truth what you are saying. So, we should also accept the Bhagavad Gita in the mood of Arjuna. Arjuna is saying that demigods and demons also cannot understand Krishna's position as God. Yeah? So, Krishna can be known by his mercy. Krishna reveals himself to the devotee. Krishna chose Arjuna to speak the Bhagavad Gita because the parampara was lost. The Bhagavad Gita was spoken millions of years ago to sun god. By Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. Sun god gave it to Manu. Manu gave it to his son. That's how it came in the human society. But the knowledge was lost. So Krishna started a new parampara. He gave this knowledge to Arjuna. Always the beginning of the parampara is always Krishna, because he has the uh, supreme knowledge, the transcendental knowledge. Krishna is the speaker of the Vedas. He's the original speaker of the Vedas. So all the parampara, there's the four authorized Vaishnava parampara, they all begin by Krishna. Krishna gives knowledge to Brahma, Krishna then becomes Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, Gaudiya Sampradaya. Then Krishna gives knowledge to Lakshmi Devi, becomes Sri Sampradaya. Krishna knowledge to Kumaras, it's the Nimbarka Sampradaya. And Krishna gives knowledge to Lord Shiva, and that is the Rudra Sampradaya. So Krishna is Arjuna is being chosen by Krishna because Arjuna is a devotee. Krishna says, you are my friend and a devotee. That's the reason. And Krishna knows Arjuna will be able to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So we can understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita if we become devotee. Becoming devotee by hearing in the parampara, then we will be able to understand Krishna's position, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more we chant Hare Krishna, the more we will be able to understand Krishna's position as God. Swayam evatmanatmanam
Swayam evatmanatmanam
Vetha Tvam Purushottama
Vetha Tvam Purushottama
Bhuta Bhavana Bhutesha
Bhuta Bhavana Bhutesha
Deva Deva Jagatpate.
Deva Deva Jagatpate. Translation. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in relationship with him
This one,
through the
no?
discharge.
Indeed,
Sorry?
Haribo. Uh,
Haribol?
Translation. Yeah, indeed, you alone know yourself.
Yeah, sorry.
Mm.
Translation. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own eternal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service like Arjuna and his followers. Persons of demonic or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. Mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna, and since it is the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yach jnanam adhyamam advayam brahmeti paramatma parameti Bhagwan iti shabhyate. The supreme truth is realized in three aspects: as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and at last as the supreme personality of Godhead. So, at the last stage of understanding the absolute truth, one comes to the supreme personality of Godhead. A common man, or even a liberated man who has realized impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma, may not understand God's personality. Such men, therefore, may endeavor to understand the Supreme Person from the verses of Bhagavad Gita, which are being spoken by this person, Krishna. Sometimes the impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagwan, or they accept his authority. Yet many liberated persons cannot that understand Krishna as Purushottama, the Supreme Person. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Purushottama. Yet one still may not understand that Krishna is the father of all living entities. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Bhuta Bhavana. And if one comes to know him as the father of all living entities, still one may not know him as the supreme controller. Therefore, he is addressed here as Bhutesha, the supreme controller of everyone. And even if one knows Krishna, the supreme controller of all living entities, still one may not know that he is the origin of all the demigods. Therefore, he is addressed here in as Deva Deva, the worshipful god of all demigods. And even if one knows him as the worshipful god of all demigods, one may not know that he is the supreme proprietor of everything. Therefore, he is addressed as Jagatpati. That the truth about Krishna is established in this world by realization of Arjuna, and we should follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna as he is.
Arjuna has declared Krishna that you are the supreme absolute truth, you are the origin, you're the greatest. Even demigods don't understand your position. And all the Vedas are saying you are the supreme personality of Godhead, and also the great authorities, Narad, Vyasadev, they're also declaring you are God, and I'm also saying it. Now, Arjuna is saying, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. O Supreme Person, Arjuna is calling Krishna Supreme Person. We are all persons. We are all persons, individuals. We are all souls. The soul is eternal, spiritual. But Krishna, he is the supreme of all. Purushottama. He's the greatest of all. He's the greatest of all persons. Origin of all. We may say this happened because of this origin. This one is coming from this. This one's, we have a father, father's father, father's father, father's father. If we do like this research work, we will come to Krishna. Krishna is the origin of everything, everyone. He's the Lord of all beings. He's the controller. We have certain control. There'll be somebody, we are controlling some people and some are controlling us. Then same, somebody may have a bigger control, more control, more control. If we do research, the supreme controller is Krishna. The demigods, who do the demigods come from? Where do the demigods come from? The demigods are not independent individuals. They are also parts and parcels of Krishna. The demigods are living entities. They are great personalities, of course. They have the qualification to be able to manage the various aspects of universal administration. But they are living entities, and Krishna is the master of all the demigods. The scriptures say the wind blows because of fear of Krishna. The sun rises by fear of Krishna. Death comes by fear of Krishna. So the demigods are also doing their duty under the order of Krishna. Jagatpate, the Lord of the entire universe. We may have some ownership of something, you know, Someone may have ownership of something more, some will have something more. But who owns everything? It's Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And each of us have a loving relationship with Krishna. Each and every one of us. We may be trying to compete with Krishna, imitate Krishna, to be the controller, to be the owner, to be the enjoyer. But rather, we have to understand that, each of us have a loving relationship with Krishna. And we will be able to understand it by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So Bhagavatam says that one may have some spiritual understanding. The most preliminary understanding is to understand that God has no form, that God is, formless, impersonal, is some light or some energy or something like that. That is a preliminary understanding of God. As one goes further, one advances further, one understands God as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and as Paramatma in the atom of uh, every atom of the universe. And as one goes even further, one understands Krishna God to be a person, the supreme person, the greatest person. Here Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. He's a person, that's how he's speaking. This is Krishna's original form. Krishna's form is transcendental. It is not ordinary form. It's not a material form. It's a transcendental form. Krishna is giving this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and we are studying this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita because Krishna is beyond all the material defects. We have to understand there's a difference in Krishna's position and our position, and we will be able to understand it. The more we engage in devotional service, the more we hear, the more we chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The more we will be able to understand Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord. So we'll stop here for today. Did anyone have any comments or questions? Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur
Thank you.
Bhakti.